Tonight, after blunt trade talk on the global stage, Mark Carney takes his strategy to the provinces.
It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to sit down.
Can he get BC and Alberta to see eye to eye on oil? A new survey on students and AI. How far do they take it?
They do what we call cognitive offloading to do the heavy work.
Canada's opening ceremony flag bearers.
My hands are like shaking.
The Maple Leaf is always a strong and united Canada.
Marielle Thompson and Michael Kingsbury leading the way at Milano-Cortina.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson.
Thanks for joining us. Adrian is on assignment. Facing more U.S. threats and with crucial free trade negotiations rapidly approaching, the Prime Minister and Premiers are meeting to talk strategy and present a united front. Today, many backed Mark Carney's stance with Washington, even as the Trump administration warned that rhetoric it doesn't like could have consequences for Canada. But unity on all things isn't easy for all premiers. Rafi Boudjoukhanian now on the forces pushing the provinces together, even as others pull them apart.
It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to sit down.
Prime Minister Mark Carney trying to mend one of the bigger rifts in the country.
We don't always agree on everything, but I think we've got a really solid base to start on.
The premiers of Alberta and British Columbia have been at odds over Ottawa's vision for a new oil and gas pipeline to BC's northwestern coast, and the three-way meeting did not settle the dispute.
We've got some work to do, of course, and consulting with First Nations, but we've pledged to keep the Premier in the loop as those conversations go on.
I mean, it's certainly very clear to me that this is a project that's being driven by the province of Alberta and the Prime Minister, and our role constitutionally is pretty limited in that. But I will say that there hasn't been any significant update in terms of actually manifesting a pipeline in any significant way.
But as all 13 provincial and territorial premiers gather, U.S. tariffs and rhetoric are driving a unified front, with the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Free Trade Agreement set for review later this year. A White House official again targeting the Prime Minister on Wednesday.
I've seen what happens when a technocrat tries to pivot and become a politician. It never really works out well. So I would just encourage Prime Minister Carney to do what he thinks is best for the Canadian people, not his own virtue signaling.
On that front, no criticism about Carney from the premiers.
I think the Prime Minister has stood up for Canada. I think all of us as premiers want to stand up for Canada. Let us not allow other people to dictate to us how we govern.
We've showed a united front, and it doesn't matter what political stripe the premiers come from. We have a very, very close relationship with each other, and we work together and we work things out.
For the meeting tomorrow, no official agenda has been set, but it's expected trade talks with the U.S. will come up.
And Rafi, we already see Washington taking aim at provincial unity.
The Treasury Secretary, you just saw him accusing the Prime Minister of virtue signaling. He was suggesting just a few days ago that it might be good for Alberta to separate and join the U.S. And Canada's unity will be tested again. The Parti Québécois, ahead in the polls, is proposing a referendum on Quebec separation if it wins the upcoming Quebec provincial election.
Thanks for this, Rafi Boudjoukhanian in Ottawa. It's another tense night in Minneapolis after an attack on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. A man sprayed her with a liquid during a town hall Tuesday. As Katie Simpson shows us, the city was already on edge after weeks of violent immigration raids and 2 fatal shootings.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar trying to reassure members of the Somali community in the wake of the startling attack.
Well, I think my presence here should tell you that the fear and intimidation doesn't work on me. Kristi Noem must resign.
During a town hall Tuesday, a man lunged at her, spraying her with a liquid from a syringe. She is fine. He is under arrest.
It's scary. That's the word. It's scary, frightened, uncertain.
We agreed not to reveal this man's identity. He's a father of 2 young kids and fears retribution for speaking up.
It was coming, you know, the way the president and his guys are talking about her. You have those crazy people, you know, and if you give them a message from the president, the crazy person will do it.
Trump has insulted Omar and degraded the Somali community.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage.
Between Trump's rhetoric, federal agents fatally shooting 2 Americans, and the immigration raids, both fear and vigilance have taken hold.
There are plenty of anti-ICE signs on display in residential neighborhoods here, neighborhoods that remain on edge. Within minutes of arriving, we were stopped and spotted by a volunteer patrol out looking for suspicious activity, hoping to alert neighbors in case there is any ICE activity.
We just rolled by 40th and Portland and don't see anything.
Information is shared in top-secret group chats among volunteers, including Kagan Recker, who records ICE actions.
I've been there when they've basically just stopped anybody of color on the street and asked them for papers, which is just an insane thing to think that is happening on American streets right now.
But in this difficult moment, he does see reason for hope.
You have these terrible things happening on the streets right now of Minneapolis. Terrible, horrible things. But then you also have these wonderful things. Communities are coming together. Neighbors are supporting neighbors.
Organizers are calling on the community to come together again Friday for another major day of protest.
And Katie, we're also learning more about the investigation into Alex Peretti's death.
The 2 officers who fired shots have now been placed on administrative leave, and we're going to be getting a general update from the new head of ICE operations in Minneapolis on Thursday.
Thanks for this, Katie Simpson in Minneapolis. The U.S. Secretary of State defended the Trump administration's seizure of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and downplayed the possibility of sending troops into the country.
We are not postured to, nor do we intend or expect to have to take any military action in Venezuela at any time. The only military presence you'll see in Venezuela is our Marine Guards at an embassy.
He said Caracas remains compliant, submitting budget requests to Washington to get at the proceeds of oil seized by the U.S. Yesterday, acting Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez touted her respectful and courteous channels of communication with Washington. The USS Gerald Ford, centerpiece of an historic U.S. military buildup, remains in the region.
This is an order from on high to try to disrupt Fulton County's election administration just because Donald Trump is still mad that he lost the 2020 elections.
That's a Democratic senator for Georgia commenting as FBI agents searched an election facility in Atlanta. Fulton County was the focus of Trump-backed conspiracy theories about his 2020 election loss. Donald Trump himself and 18 others were indicted in the state for their effort to overturn the results. The charges against Trump and some defendants were dropped last fall. Amazon is cutting about 1% of its workforce in a new round of layoffs. Nisha Patel now with what's behind the move and the trend being seen across the tech industry.
Amazon is laying off 16,000 corporate workers. That's on top of 14,000 positions slashed just 3 months ago. It's not clear which departments are impacted, but the cuts are global, including Canada. The company framed the move as reducing layers and removing bureaucracy.
A lot of the talk lately has been around efficiency, AI, trying to get back to how they were, the world's largest startup.
Amazon employs more than 1.5 million people, mostly in warehouses or logistics. CEO Andy Jassy has been looking to trim the workforce after the company went on a hiring spree during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's important to be lean, it's important to be flat, and it's important to move fast, and that's what we're going to do.
Amazon also warned last year the company will have fewer workers as it relies more on artificial intelligence.
Engineers and product managers and team members are seeing efficiency gains that is allowing them to accomplish more with less resources.
Other tech companies prioritizing AI announced restructuring this week. Dutch chipmaker ASML is cutting 1,700 management jobs, and Pinterest will lay off as many as 700 workers.
Artificial intelligence is the new and most powerful tool to give you a sustainable competitive advantage over your other competitors.
Experts say AI is going to be disruptive, but won't affect all types of jobs equally. And recent layoffs may just be the beginning.
There's a significant number of people, I would say the kind of jobs at Amazon. A lot of those jobs are going to be vulnerable. People doing basic entry-level type jobs.
CBC News reached out to Amazon to find out how many employees in Canada would be affected by the layoffs. The company wouldn't confirm any details. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
The Amazon news comes a day after UPS announced it's cutting 30,000 jobs and shutting 24 facilities this year. UPS says it's slashing millions of low-profit deliveries for Amazon, calling the business extraordinarily dilutive to its margins. UPS eliminated 48,000 jobs last year. The Bank of Canada held its key interest rate steady at 2.25%, but that trajectory could change.
Uncertainty around our forecast is heightened. The range of possible outcomes is wider than usual.
A major factor is the upcoming trade negotiations with the United States and Mexico. Ongoing threats to the U.S. central bank's independence is also adding to the uncertainty. The Federal Reserve kept its key rate unchanged despite pressure from Donald Trump to lower it. There's a new warning tonight about misleading immigration promises offering opportunities in Canada for this year's FIFA World Cup. Lisa Shing shows us the kind of social media videos the government calls scams.
Videos posted to Instagram and TikTok, like this one in Urdu, tell people they can get a special visa for the FIFA World Cup, a package including tickets, consultancy, and embassy fees for about 2,000 Canadian dollars. This one in Hindi shows a young man promising Canada isn't going to refuse any visitor visas, urging people to submit applications for family members too. Similar promises, all of them misleading, says immigration consultant Mandeep Litter.
So if you see any advertisement for a guaranteed FIFA visa, there's no special FIFA visa. These are scams. They are preying on vulnerable people.
Litter says anyone coming for the games has to go through the normal checks.
They look at your ties, your finances, whether you can visit Canada and return to your home country. That's one of the main factors.
Analysis from the CBC's visual investigations team revealed the social media accounts connected to these posts are based in multiple countries, including India, Pakistan, and Canada. At least one was deleted within minutes of us reaching out. This one claimed travelers can work, even settle in Canada. When Qatar hosted the 2022 World Cup, hundreds of migrant workers were hired to build the stadiums. But Canada's venues in Vancouver and Toronto already exist, a message the federal government is trying to get out across the world.
So if someone's saying, if you pay me this, I can get you a job visa to go to Canada to work on the World Cup, that's false. That's a scam. Don't fall for it.
The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre tells CBC News it's receiving reports of FIFA-related fraud and that this kind of activity increases around major global events. It's also warning Canadians to be on the lookout for other types of fraud, including ticket scams. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
A Quebec woman who threw scalding water on a 10-year-old boy has been sentenced to 27 months in prison.
It sends a clear message to the society that those kind of acts, those cruel acts, will never be accepted.
Stephanie Burrell pleaded guilty to aggravated assault in the October 2024 incident. The court heard that the 47-year-old was fed up after children from a nearby school had been ringing her doorbell for several months. The boy suffered second-degree burns to his face, chest, and shoulder. A survey of students in Quebec from high school up to university shows that the vast majority are using AI in their schoolwork, some cheating with it. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson shows us a national issue and institutions just trying to catch up.
Young people in Quebec are not shy about using AI for their schoolwork.
I don't know, I'm not going to name any names, but it's obvious everybody uses AI.
They do highlight specifically not to use it for plagiarism and to write its work off as your own. It is explicitly stated in the course outline, but you know, I've yet to have a conversation with any of my professors about it.
According to a new study by SOM commissioned by Radio-Canada of more than 600 students at the end of secondary school in Cégep or at university, 76% are using AI regularly and 31% are using it in ways they know are not allowed by their institutions, namely for cheating. Quebec is one of a few provinces that offers guidelines on acceptable uses of AI. The minister in charge says it's a work in progress.
And I think that we are in evolution towards AI, and there's going to be more guidelines probably in the near future.
It's not a Quebec-only phenomenon. A survey of close to 700 high school, college, and university students across Canada by KPMG this fall yielded similar results, with 73% saying they use AI for their schoolwork, a trend this expert finds concerning.
If they do the work a lot with AI, they do what we call cognitive offloading. They give it to AI to do the heavy work. They're going to come to university or college, and they're not going to have a foundation of good, sound knowledge to build on.
AI has its place in the classroom, but teachers need instruction on how to use it, says this Ontario math teacher.
We live in a world where this version of AI is the worst version of AI that students are ever going to have access to. And we do them a disservice if we don't leverage that tool.
But other experts and educators are calling for stricter and more uniformly enforced rules around when it's okay to use AI and when it's not, to help students reap the benefits of new technology without losing those key skills like critical thinking. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
A major deadline tonight for the federal NDP. It's the cutoff to sign up new members ahead of a March leadership vote. David Thurton shows us the frontrunners and what's at stake for a struggling party.
Hundreds showed up for an NDP leadership candidate with a populist message.
Is there something happening in Canadian politics right now? Right now it's happening under the surface. People aren't seeing it. This is a leadership race for a party that's supposed to be on life support.
Avi Lewis's campaign resembles Zoran Mamdani's bid for New York City's mayor, with similar policies like government-backed grocery stores. April's federal election nearly wiped New Democrats off the map. Most of its MPs, even former leader Jagmeet Singh, lost their seats. These candidates are vying to replace him, and it's the last day to sign up to vote at the end of March.
I would say at this point there are three main frontrunners.
This former NDP strategist says this race is between Lewis, Heather McPherson, and Rob Ashton.
Still a couple months to go. I think anything could happen.
McPherson, a sitting Edmonton MP, is running to broaden the NDP's appeal to not just progressives, but liberals and conservatives.
I have talked a lot about how I want to build our party, how I want to make sure that this is a bigger table that more Canadians feel welcome within.
But this little-known dock worker and labor leader from British Columbia wants to turn the NDP into a workers' party.
I'm not running to become a politician. I'm running to become a workers' politician. And so that means you see me in a coffee shop. If you think I've done something wrong, you come up to me and say, hey, Ashton, what are you thinking? What are you doing on this?
Months into the race, are Canadians paying attention?
Canadians are not closely watching this contest. I think that there's so much competition given, Trump and the Conservative leadership review.
With 2 months to go, there's still time for candidates to prove why their party is still relevant and why they are best placed to lead it. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Buying Canadian has become a popular idea as tensions mount with the U.S., but it isn't always that easy.
This is advertising trying to make it look Canadian when in reality it's not.
Why some popular products may not be exactly as they appear. Next. Plus, with the opening ceremony just over a week away, Canada has its flag bearers.
What I'm going to be doing is just trying to soak it all in.
What it means to the athletes and their fans. And later, a dramatic rescue from an icy river.
When we do get a chance to help an iconic species, that's a huge success for us here.
The Bighorn sheep given a second chance at life. We're back in 2. Parts of southern and central Ontario were hit Tuesday night with a 3.7 magnitude earthquake. About 2,000 people reported feeling shaking near Orillia and as far south as Toronto.
All of a sudden, the whole room started shaking. My daughter came running in and said, "What was that?"
I stopped for a minute and I thought, what's going on? Oh my goodness, it's still happening? It's still happening? What is going on?
Experts say earthquakes in the area are rare, but this one a good reminder to be prepared, as they can happen anywhere at any time. This week, the federal government renewed a call for shoppers to buy Canadian, but that may not be so easy. Some packages our marketplace colleagues looked at seemed Canadian on the front, but information on the back revealed not so much. Here's Rosa Marcatelli.
We're at the grocery store on a mission to buy Canadian. For many, that means picking products that were made here with Canadian ingredients. But some products only look Canadian.
I have no clue as to what that means.
Bob Bastien was surprised by Habitant French-Canadian pea soup. The front says designed in Canada. The back, product of the USA.
It seems as though Campbell is trying to sell us a lie.
Campbell's, the company behind the soup, says the label is not new. And it tells shoppers the product was created by their Canadian team, adding it's phasing that label out. Dave Lawson spotted something similar. Betty Crocker chocolate chip cookie mix, labeled Canada's #1 selling baking mix brand. Flip it over, product of the U.S.
This is advertising trying to make it look Canadian when in reality it's not.
General Mills, the company behind the cookie mix, says it is Canada's top-selling baking mix brand, based on sales. The label isn't new, and it reflects the pride they have being in Canadian kitchens.
Where does all this leave shoppers?
Well, it's tough. The truth is, it's tough.
I think we are seeing some maple washing, whether intentional or not. We are definitely seeing some.
So, are there any government plans to make labels more clear? For weeks, the federal minister responsible denied repeated requests for an interview. So we head to Ottawa for answers.
Minister Michelle, Rosa from Marketplace here. What exactly are you hoping to do?
Into everything that can make life easier for Canadians.
Labels in particular?
Labels also.
Labels are part of the package. We look forward to talking to you more about it.
In the meantime, experts say look for the words product of Canada on labels. It guarantees that what you're buying is either mostly or entirely made here with Canadian ingredients. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Toronto.
For the full investigation, watch The Maple Makeover Friday night at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in Newfoundland and Labrador on CBC TV, YouTube, and CBC Gem. With talk of separation in Alberta and Quebec, there is growing concern about false information spreading online.
The United States has now begun to start overtaking as one of the largest sources of disinformation targeting Canada.
How social media gets weaponized from south of the border. Plus, with a review of the CUSMA free trade deal coming up, Canadian businesses are bracing for impact.
You're describing something that looks like life getting worse for a lot of Canadians.
In the short term. Yes. Yes.
How the review could play out. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Torchbearers again, 70 years after they first held the honor. In fact, 93-year-old Bruno Colli and 88-year-old Dario Pivarotto have now carried the Olympic torch at all 3 Winter Games in Italy in 1956, 2006, and now for Milano-Cortina 2026. Mogul skier Michael Kingsbury and ski cross racer Marielle Thompson will be Canada's flag bearers for the opening ceremony of the Milano-Cortina Winter Games. Julia Wong now with what the honor means for them and for those cheering them on.
You have been selected as the flag bearer for the 2026 Milano-Cortina Games.
Wow, my hands are like shaking.
It's a call Michael Kingsbury will never forget, representing Canada on the world's biggest stage.
When I opened up my phone this morning, it was quite crazy. And I had the best day of training I've had since September, so things are looking great.
widely considered one of the greatest mogul skiers of all time.
So smooth here through these turns.
Kingsbury is a 3-time Olympic medalist, capturing gold in Pyeongchang in 2018. Even with 100 World Cup wins, being the flag bearer is a dream come true for the 33-year-old.
What I'm going to be doing is just trying to soak it all in, and I think it's going to be special to be representing. I haven't looked at the stats, but about 40 million Canadian.
Those who know Kingsbury are overwhelmed by the news.
I was so happy for him and his family. Sorry, I'm very emotional, but the fact that they picked Mikael really resonates on how much he's done for the sport of skiing.
Marielle Thompson leading the way.
Alongside him, Marielle Thompson. After overcoming a series of injuries, the BC native is going to her 4th Olympics. Thompson captured gold in 2014 and silver in 2022. She says she's proud to carry the Canadian flag.
The Maple Leaf is always a strong and united Canada, and I think we'll show that on the field of play and then walking into each and every of the stadiums.
There's excitement on the ski hills Thompson raced as a kid.
I think from the standpoint of her ability to be resilient and come back from injury, it's such a great, inspiring story for us here at the club and our athletes.
Kingsbury and Thompson will march with their freestyle skiing and snowboard teammates. The opening ceremony for the Games takes place February 6th. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
And Adrian will be at the opening ceremony in Milan on February 6th, along with CBC Olympics reporter Devin Haru, bringing you live coverage starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Could Canada prosper if Trump said no to a trade deal?
When you talk about periods of upheaval, that means people lose jobs, that means incomes decline.
But first, how disinformation fans the flames of Alberta separatism.
We really need to get our act together on this.
The falsehoods that flood the internet are crowding out the facts.
A dramatic decline in Canadian news availability.
And things will only get worse as AI gets better at tricking you. Eli Glasner breaks down the forces working to shape your beliefs. They are connected to some very powerful people.
I think we should let them come down into the U.S., and Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S.
A moment in an interview that echoed across social media as the U.S.-Canada relationship goes from lukewarm to frosty once again. Scott Bessent, a member of the Trump inner circle, appeared to fan the flames of the Alberta separatist movement.
They have great resources. The Albertans are very independent people.
While there certainly have been long lines as organizers collect signatures to force a referendum, support remains far from the majority. But that didn't stop the sentiment from spreading quickly. The talking points picked up and duly amplified by Trump's supporters.
I think the people of Alberta would agree with that sentiment, that they would prefer not to be a part of Canada and be a part of the United States because we are winning.
With talk of separation in both Quebec and Alberta, social media researchers are worried about a new front in the battle between Canada and the States.
We really need to get our act together on this because generative AI in the next 6, 12, 18 months is going to transform how we understand information.
So yes, we are incredibly vulnerable.
We really have to get serious about this. How are we going to get reliable news about what's happening on platforms that are owned by American billionaires?
Justin Ling is a columnist with the Toronto Star. He says exploiting splinter movements is part of the American playbook.
We've already seen instances of Americans with ties to the White House skulking around Greenland, looking for those who would support the idea of American annexation. We would be delusionally naive to think America wouldn't do the same damn thing if Alberta did wind up in an independence referendum, ditto for Quebec.
Brian McQuinn is the co-director of the Center for Artificial Intelligence Data and Conflict at the University of Regina.
What we saw as one of the primary sources of disinformation in Canada was Russia, China, India. The United States has now begun to start overtaking as one of the largest sources of disinformation targeting Canada.
So you're saying in the world of disinformation, United States is now one of the most serious threats to Canada.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the amount of information, whether it be around vaccines or other types of topics, the amount of disinformation coming from the U.S. and the White House is a specific example of that, because of the size of the networks, because of how that's picked up.
There's lineups around the corner in Alberta now for a separatist movement, and that now there's talk of the referendum again in Quebec. Could you see those divisions exploited?
So many of us lived through the referendum in Quebec and the sort of shock as we watched the returns that night. This will be utterly different than anything we've ever seen before, because I can guarantee you that Trump, for example, will be commenting, and so will his entire administration, on the dynamic the entire time. And so it will be a level of vulnerability that we could not possibly understand. And it creates a pretense as well. Look at Canada, that looks like a civil war is beginning to start. They're looking for parts of it are going to tear away. We better intervene.
So when Trump says Canada's becoming the 51st state, he's really talking about Alberta, and that's important because that's a gateway to the Arctic.
Angus Bridgman is the Associate Director of Research at the Centre for Media Technology and Democracy at McGill.
There's this sort of really interesting kind of connection with the Canadian discourse, where the American one and the Canadian one kind of go back and forth a little bit.
All right, what gets talked about in America can become part of our discourse. That's nothing new. But here's the problem. More and more Canadians are getting informed not from the news, but social media. And it's happening on American platforms with little Canadian control.
So our entire democratic infrastructure, the way we talk to one another, the way politics is done nowadays, is online, is on social media platforms that are largely based in the United States, almost exclusively based in the United States.
And while news organizations have been largely pushed out,
our research has consistently shown that what has happened is a dramatic decline in Canadian news availability on these platforms. So partly because of Meta's news ban on the platform, but also X's decision to downrank content with links have hurt the news industry enormously.
As Bridgman's research shows, as news media shrinks, they're being steadily replaced by an army of influencers.
The United States has a very active and financially lucrative creator market.
Something astonishing is happening in the Canadian province of Alberta.
And so what that means is there are people who get up in the morning and their job is essentially to attract attention in online spaces. Their job is not to inform, their job is to attract attention.
In a world where content creators literally get paid by clicks, engagement, if not enragement, is the key.
One of the really important things about this space is that they are almost completely agnostic to the truth.
Just days after Canada's election, the country is in absolute chaos.
They're not particularly interested in the truth. They're interested in whether or not a particular story or statement will get a lot of attention and traction in online spaces.
At the same time as the power of generative AI increases, it's getting hard to tell what's real.
We would always be able to tell when something was a little janky, but now the quality, and it's improving literally month by month.
What's next? Prepare yourself for this one. AI that tailors disinformation depending on the target.
And what we're beginning to see as well is that the AI is able to actually generate profiles of people who, a certain age, a certain ethnicity, a certain political, and actually is able to emulate them online while subtly including the sort of nefarious messages that malicious state wants included.
And while disinformation grows, McQuinn says the ability to track it is getting more difficult.
And this is the challenge when we see countries like Australia who are banning social media for people under the age of 16. It is possible for countries to be much more assertive. The thing that's not talked about is that all capacity for researchers to study what's happening on those platforms has almost completely been removed.
This is the frustration for researchers faced with a growing threat.
It's very difficult to reconcile sort of Carney's speech in Davos, where you're talking about having to chart a new course.
In a world of great power rivalry, the countries in between have a choice: compete with each other for favor, or to combine to create a third path with impact.
And then have a democratic infrastructure that is entirely based in the United States. in a situation where the United States becomes more hostile towards Canadian interests, there is enormous vulnerability where our ability to organize, have conversations, is compromised.
If we find ourselves, in a world where America is not just threatening to annex the North, Greenland, Canada, wherever, but is actually putting it into action, how are we going to get reliable news about what's happening on platforms that are owned by American billionaires?
With Canada about to re-enter CUSMA negotiations, where our own digital sovereignty could be on the table, McQuinn says the responsibility comes down to us, the users.
We are some of the most educated societies on the planet. You need to always question what you are clicking through. And if you don't want to have a society where the people who you disagree with are an existential threat, really question whether the sort of amplitude of conflict, which is what a lot of these actors want, is that something you want to contribute to? You and every person can make a significant difference in how this unfolds.
Now, you heard Eli mention the decline in online news available to Canadians. One reason is that Facebook's owner, Meta, started blocking news in Canada in 2023 to avoid having to pay for it under the Online Streaming Act. But CBC News has learned from the Office of Culture Minister Mark Miller that the government has been talking to Meta ahead of the CUSMA review. The goal is to remove that barrier to actual information. Up next, things are bad enough these days for Canadian companies that sell into the States.
I think it's just the uncertainty. It just changes all the time.
Imagine how much worse it could get if Donald Trump decides the best deal is no deal. With CUSMA up for review, Canada could end up with no trade deal at all.
Can your business survive without American customers?
Negotiations are bound to be brutal.
With Donald Trump making concessions breeds demands for more concessions.
For now, it's the uncertainty that's unbearable. But soon enough, things will come to a head. Lindsay Duncombe breaks down the possible outcomes, including the worst-case scenario.
Across Canada, businesses are counting down to a potential crisis. Come July, there's a chance the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement could unravel.
Yeah.
Business owners like Shannon Dixon are bracing for the worst.
What's that like? It's hard. It's frustrating.
Dixon and her husband own Simply Merino. Half of the clothing they make here in this East Vancouver warehouse is sold to the United States. Customers that could go away if CUSMA isn't renewed. Dixon is overwhelmed.
I think it's just the uncertainty. It just changes all the time. Yeah. And that's the hard part is you just don't know. And you try really hard to know, and then the next day you have to start all over again and figure things out. It's been stressful. It's myself and my husband who own the business, and it's stressful on our relationship. My staff, manufacturing.
And we could have it or not, it wouldn't matter to me. I don't really care about it. Canada would love it. Canada wants it. They need it.
The future of CUSMA is in the background of all the back and forth between Ottawa and Washington these days.
It'll be a robust review, is the expectation.
Every outburst, every post, every scrum and speech scrutinized in the context of what it could mean for the interconnected trade all three economies rely on.
The president is a strong negotiator. I think some of these comments and positioning should be viewed in the broader context of that.
This is a moving target, and a number of different things could happen. All three governments could say, hey, this is working, make a few tweaks, and sign on for another 16 years. If that doesn't happen, the agreement goes into annual reviews, so more uncertainty. Or Trump could try to throw it out, setting up a potential legal battle and more uncertainty.
I was in Toronto last week giving a talk on this, and I quoted America's greatest poet, Taylor Swift, who said, It's either going to be forever or it's going to go down in flames.
Eric Miller is an international trade consultant and a Swiftie.
And that's really what we're looking at right now. We just don't know.
We do know much of what Washington says it wants in order to keep the agreement in place. The Americans want greater access to Canada's dairy market and don't like the rules forcing American streaming companies like Netflix to have Canadian content. The U.S. also wants us to start buying American booze again. Miller says the challenge for Canada is giving up a little might eventually mean giving up even more.
With Donald Trump making concessions breeds demands for more concessions. That's really the complexity, but there will be hard choices. And it's very difficult to say which way the government would decide to go, partly because there's no sense of what the end game is here.
And he says businesses are right to at least contemplate a post-CUSMA world.
You know, when you talk about periods of upheaval, that means people lose jobs, that means incomes decline. That means stress and strain at home. That means all sorts of pain and suffering, not only in the economy, but also in Canadian society.
You're describing something that looks like life getting worse for a lot of Canadians.
In the short term, yes. Yes. Not everybody all at once, all the same way. But I think one has to be realistic that there will be a significant cost that comes from this.
Miller says Canada would not bear that cost alone. The consequences of losing CUSMA would hit American businesses hard too, no matter what the president says.
You know, you would think wool sweatpants would be itchy, but they're really not.
Merino wool is not itchy.
All of this stress and uncertainty comes as Dixon's business is growing. She and her husband have given up their jobs as a teacher and an engineer.
Are you making enough money to sustain your life?
We are. Yes, we are. A few years ago, I started paying myself for the first time. It took many years to make any money because as you grow, you invest back into the company.
Can your business survive without American customers?
Yes, it will. Yes, we will have to pivot a bit. We'll figure things out, but we're not going to close our doors. You know, we love it so much and we love our community. We know we can do it. It's just we're going to have a hit for sure.
And Miller says that's the thing. Whatever happens, the resilient will adapt. Some may even thrive. It's just so tough to make a plan when we don't know what's coming next.
And Fortune magazine recently reminded its readers that Donald Trump's negotiating strategies are laid bare in his 1987 book, The Art of the Deal. The magazine suggests Trump's tried and true approach got him what he wanted from Greenland. Some of his rules are make good use of intensity and unpredictability and never apologize. Coming up, a big-horned sheep gets stuck in icy conditions in Colorado.
Her fur right away, you know, it's all iced over the second they get her out of the water.
The people who helped bring her to safety, next in our moment. You're looking at a big-horned sheep stuck in a frigid river after falling through the ice in Gunnison, Colorado. Luckily, some bystanders noticed the struggling sheep and called local wildlife officers to help get her to safety. Their chilly rescue makes our moment.
She was an icicle. Her fur right away, you know, it's all iced over the second they get her out of the water. A female Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep had fallen through the ice while trying to cross the Taylor River. Two of our wildlife officers rushed out to the scene. They grabbed a tow strap that they just had in one of their trucks, and they were able to loop it around the body of the sheep. And then the two of them together, just using all their might, were able to pull it out of the water and out of the ice and get it to shore. This animal was clearly pretty fatigued. We did keep the sheep overnight. We put it in a horse trailer full of hay. We put a blindfold over it. We do that to reduce the stress that the animal has of just having human interaction happening all around it. We released her the next morning. She ran right up the hillside to go reunite with the rest of her herd. Nature's brutal. We know that the circle of life can be tough out there, but when we do get a chance to help an iconic species, that's a huge success for us here.
Now, that sheep was about 5 feet long and weighed about 200 pounds, so it was a pretty big effort to try to pull her out. The bighorn sheep is Colorado's state animal, though, so they are pretty protective over them. And they estimate she was in that frigid water for at least an hour, possibly 2. And they say any longer, she wouldn't have made it. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.